Okay, so hello, welcome again to the second EQIPD Quality System webinar specifically prepared for iRISE members. My name is Andreas Scherer. I'm research coordinator at the Institute for Molecular Medicine at the University of Helsinki in Finland, and I'm also co-chair of the iRISE biomarker platform. And today we have this little program prepared for you that we will have a little roundtable introduction and followed by two presentations, one from Björn Gerlach, member of the guarantors of EQIPD. He will introduce the EQIPD Quality System and how you can get access to it. And this will be followed by Kim Weber. She's a meta-researcher at Radboud University Medical Center and co-lead of the EU Horizon iRISE project. And the iRISE project has the goal of investigating sources of irreproducibility in scientific research and how to alleviate them. And the EQIPD Quality System is one of the interventions which is being investigated in this project. But first, since we are so few, I think it's worthwhile starting with a brief roundtable introduction. We have heard already from Nikolaus, but maybe you can still do this as well. Maybe you could introduce yourself with your name, your affiliation, and your role and interest in this webinar, if possible, so we know a little bit more about you. Let's see. Could we start maybe with Nikolaus again?
Yes, well, my name is Nikos Kostomitsopulos. I'm working in the Biomedical Research Foundation of the Academy of Athens. I have experience from different kind of quality systems like ALAC and ISO, and my main interest is to see if EQIPD as a quality system is a worthwhile system to go on in order to increase the creditability of my institution, and also to see if there is if I can use this system to increase the creditability of other institutions who will start functioning in Greece during next year. And in relation to the research topics, we are interested about basic research, but also we are very much interested on preclinical studies. This is why I'm interested on how to increase the credibility of the institutions.
Great, thank you so much. Anna, I don't know if this works, and she said she cannot talk, but let's maybe we can try anyhow. If
I think considering the time, I think it's okay if she joins and listens in.
Well, no, let's do that. Alida, maybe you can say a couple of words about you.
Yeah, sure. I'm Alinda Wallinga. I'm an animal welfare body officer in Nijmegen. And I have a background as a researcher in basic research, but also working at CRO as a study director toxicology under GLP in an ALAC accredited animal facility. So then, so actually when I started working here, I thought, oh wow, in terms of quality principles, quality management, I think academia can profit a lot from all the knowledge on that. And also it is, I find it a nice challenge to also work on that actually from my role as an animal welfare body officer, also because if you look, for example, at study plans, if the quality on the study plans is quite nice, it is easier to do extra comments or input on the 3 R's. So I think I can, we as animal welfare body officers can also play an interesting role in iRISE.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. Bjorn and Kim, would you like to do the introduction now, or shall we?
Exactly. So just also a brief few words to myself, because I'm wearing different hats. So on the one hand, I'm a member of the HASP team, which is a company in Heidelberg, Germany, that was part of the EQIPD funded project. Beside that, a second affiliation is that I'm, as you mentioned before, Andreas, part of the Guarantors of EQIPD, the non-profit society that continues or is the legacy organization to continue the EQIPD activities. But then I'm also, a third affiliation is with a research group in the area that does addiction research in animals. And here I'm the quality manager implementing the EQIPD quality system, which is very interesting, because before it was all theoretical for me, and now I'm part of a research group and facing all these practical issues with implementing something like that. So very interesting. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Kim, a couple of...
Yeah, I think I can introduce myself by the time that I give the presentation, because I was sort of going to do it then.
Perfect.
Sorry to keep you waiting.
Let me quickly read Anna's message here. She's one of the BRISA coordinators in preclinical systematic review, along with Olavo and others, and she participated in a replicating lab in the Brazilian Reproducibility Initiative, and is now involved in the Brazilian Reproducibility Network. And Olavo shared the news about this webinar and the free support and certifications. She's curious to know more and discover what we could do on our end to improve our practice. Okay, perfect. Thank you, Anna. All right, let me give you just a couple of slides of an introduction, and then we go to the real deal. Bjorn is already ready to go here. We've heard a couple of times reproducibility, irreproducibility, we will hear it a lot of times during our webinar. And essentially, there are many definitions out there, but iRISE project defines reproducibility as the extent to which the result of a study agree with those study. And this has been done after search for definitions in public literature. So this is what we decided on to move on. Essentially, reproducibility does not tell us whether a study or a claim is true, but it tells us whether the scientific conduct of an experiment adhered to set standards. So essentially, like Roger Pang once from the University of Texas once said, reproducibility is pretty much the only thing we can hope for. So and time will tell whether we are ultimately right or wrong about any claims, but reproducibility is something we know right now. It is necessary, I think, to keep pointing out that scientific conduct is the foundation of data quality, and data quality is again the foundation of reproducibility. And scientific conduct, as well as research integrity, can be defined as, let's say, following ethical and professional responsibilities to produce reliable, honest, and transparent research by adhering to principles like reliability, honesty, respect, and accountability. And deviation from such principles can lead to an erosion of research and data quality, reliability, and trustworthiness of science, as has been published many times in meta-analyses and in other papers that the reproducibility of data appears. So that's not something new. We know this already for some time. And for example, in this 2015 paper that possibly you all know, Friedman and his team report that irreproducibility was largely caused by inefficiency in study design, conduct, and reporting. And the societal impact was a decrease in trust in science. And the economical impact of irreproducibility was enormous because about 50% of the public funding of science resulted in irreproducible results, costing the taxpayer and also the clinical research drivers billions of dollars for chasing false positive results. And finally, Friedman also published the results of a survey of about 1,500 researchers that responded, which indicated that incomplete reporting, as you can see on the left panel, lack of reagent validation and experimental bias were among those most frequent reasons behind irreproducibility. And interestingly, shown on the panel on the right, research from academia and industry confirmed a relative lack of formal quality systems in academia compared to industry. And so today we will discuss the EQIPD Quality System, what it can do for you and how you can get access to it, and how it is integrated also in the iRISE project. And I would say with this, I hand over to Björn. And please, let's reserve questions until the end of both presentations. And then we hopefully have a lively discussion about the EQIPD Quality System. Okay, thanks. Björn, you've taken over already. Good. All right. Please.
Perfect. Thanks a lot, Andreas. So indeed, it looks like everything works with the presentation. So now we would like to dive into the EQIPD Quality System and this systematic approach of improving research quality and thereby indeed, as Andreas said, closing the gap. Nikolaos, you mentioned already that you have ISO. We also worked with a research group from the Charité who had the ISO certification, but it was not directly dedicated towards research quality. And GLP also has an important presence, but also doesn't close this gap precisely. And that's why this EQIPD system was developed by an EU consortium that run under the Innovative Medicine Initiative, consisting of, and that's the interesting part I find, consisting of these 10 academia partners, but also consisting of FPA partners. So FPA is a European Federation of Pharmaceutical Companies. And so we also have this industry input. And I think that's also what makes it very interesting to have or trying to combine everything from these two worlds. So output was...
I'm sorry, may I interrupt you?
Yep.
We have to change the slides by our own, or you will change the slides of the presentation?
So what do you see right now?
Now I see slide number 4, for example, but I move it by my own.
Okay, then indeed something doesn't work, because I see now slide number 9. The title is Enhancing Quality in Preclinical Data.
Yeah, okay, me too. So
yeah, I see also slide number 9.
Me too.
Okay, because I have to move by my own on slide 9. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Interesting. You have control that we have you have the power that we don't have.
so this internet always has some new surprises.
Okay, so I don't know, try and I will continue.
Okay, so slide 9, title Enhancing Quality in Preclinical Data. So what this consortium had as a goal, so to improve the reproducibility and translatability of studies by strengthening rigor of research data. So that was this overall goal. And for that, 2 important things were developed. On the one hand, this EQIPD Quality System, and on the other hand, led by Kim, actually, the building of an online training platform. So a very nice, comprehensive resource of different training modules. Sorry. So let's move on to the next slide. So the equipped resources. So these are published resources. There's on the left side is the publication introducing the EQIPD Quality System. And on the right side, there is the EQIPD Wiki. And this EQIPD Wiki nicely complements this published resource by introducing more practical guidance on how to follow and how to implement the quality system. And that's also, again, talking about the guarantors of EQIPD, this legacy organization. That's one of the goals of this non-profit organization, to maintain this wiki and have dedicated working groups to update and improve this. So let's move forward to the mountain, and that's trying to make a comparison a little bit with the question, how can we get there? And just like climbing a mountain, the next slide, there are different ways on how to get there. So there might not only be one route, there might be different routes. And here it's up to the explorer or the researcher to choose on these routes. And then also the second point, it depends from where you start. A research lab like Nikolaos, when you say you're already ISO certified, will start from a higher camp than somebody who hasn't dealt with this issue at all. Then, of course, it also depends how well you are trained, how good the teamwork is. Of course, the better the interactions, the faster you might get there. Then the second last point, it's also about accepting the help of others. And that's also what Kim then will briefly present, so that with the iRISE project, currently we can support some help here. And very important also that everyone needs to do it or should do it on their own pace and not try to accelerate that too much. So the bottom line is here, so that it's certainly doable. Now diving deeper really into the quality system. So it consists of these 18 core requirements, and they kind of define the framework. And it starts with the enabling the good research practice. And these are 3 core requirements that define quality objectives, deal with research integrity, and of course also compliance with the law. So that's really this minimum basis defined by these 3 core requirements. On the next level, oh, wrong direction, sorry. On the next level, it's about establishing good research practice. And here it goes into data integrity. So how trustworthy are the data? It's about the study design. Can somebody else reproduce a study? Are the data robust enough? It's about, the analysis and the reporting strategy. And that's what we would call purpose fit. So here, basic elements are implemented for a purpose of improving research data. And then the next level is the maintaining the good research practice. And that's all about the continuous improvement. So how do we really ensure that we have kind of feedback loops established to always also question what is done and really provide kind of a mirror on reflecting on own practices. And that's then the quality system. And I believe that this last point, that's kind of what's mainly missing with all these important guidelines that are published, that they don't necessarily help to continuously improve. So very important that all of these aspects concern the entire research unit. And that's also, again, what we try to investigate here with the iRISE project, whether these can initiate kind of a cultural shift and improve the research culture within a research group.
Björn, can I just quickly ask Nikolaus if he which slide you're on, and are you able to follow on the slides?
Yeah. So we're on slide 15. That was about introducing these core requirements. And now let's move on to slide 16, which is now really looking into some of these core requirements. So really trying to give an understanding, how do they read and so. And for that, we have separated them into 4 kind of categories. So there is this green part of the circle, so fast and easy. So that is that most likely these are elements that are already in place and don't require any dedicated documentation. We will have some examples here. Then this blue part requires decision and can most likely be completed without external help. So these might be some written statements. We'll go into that. Then, well, this gray part, bottom left. So these are elements that are typically in place, but require some dedicated attention. So really looking into these items again. And then the last part, this red, requires understanding. So here it's most likely that external support is needed, but that's very crucial, and where we differentiate from other quality systems like ISO, that there is minimum documentation, because again, this quality system shall also be for academic research units, and having something like ISO or one of these standard quality systems really might be an overburden in respect to documentation. And that's something that is usually unrealistic in my experience for academic research units. Okay, so moving on to the next slide and diving into each of these quadrants now. So fast and easy. One of these core requirements reads, all activities must comply with relevant legislation and policies. So it's about really that the research unit follows the law. And we kind of assume that this would be the case already. So it should be fast and easy because it's already fulfilled. However, it's still important to briefly reflect on that. The next item, the second one, the research unit must have a procedure to act upon concerns of potential misconduct. In general, misconduct, so the fabrication, falsification, or plagiarism of research data is not really in the focus of the quality system, but it's still important that there is a mechanism implemented to deal with that. And also, again, here in our experience, all universities have kind of an ombudsperson, a neutral person being able to deal with it. However, members of the research unit usually are not aware. So the fast and easy way here is just informing that this mechanism exists, that this ombudsperson, that this neutral person is in place. And then the last point here, all personnel involved in research must have adequate training and competence to perform assigned tasks. And that also should be in place already. So fast and easy. If we go now to the next section, requires decisions. For example, this core requirement, process owner must be identified for the quality system. It's important to have a dedicated, responsible person who is the contact and has the oversight over all aspects. So requires a decision. Another decision is that the research unit must have defined quality objectives. That's also a very simple document. A template is provided, or the research unit can decide on their own. But it's important to make decisions on why are we doing it? Why is it important for us? And then the last point here, in a similar line, the communication process must be in place. So it must be clear who is involved in the system, whom do we need to contact, who is or need to communicate about. So it's about, yeah, this communication. Moving forward to items that may require attention. And that's about, for example, adequate handling and storage of samples and materials must be ensured. So here really going into the lab environment and ensuring that everything is in order. I would also assume that is in most labs the case. However, it's important again to reflect on it. Do we really ensure it? Just brief example, I hope we have the time, that in our lab where I'm implementing it, we had the chemicals organized according to alphabet. However, there were some issues. Citric acid in English starts with a C, in German with a Z, Zitronensäure. So either at the beginning or the end of the alphabet. And that was something where we just also need to find a solution that we store that adequately so that it can be found. The second item, research equipment and tools must be suitable for intended use and ensure data integrity. It's also again about reflecting whether all these tools and equipment really fulfill their required job. And the last item here, protocols for experimental methods must be available. Very important point in that regard, that there should be also a structure in place that these protocols can be found. And as it might often be, at least again from my experience in academic research labs, that a student leaves the lab and then documents cannot be found anymore because they were not structured. So here also again providing this support, this help. So the last section here is about what requires understanding, and this is about that the investigator must declare in advance whether a study is intended to inform a formal knowledge claim. And this formal knowledge claim, it's kind of a term from EQIPD. It's also referred to in the science community as confirmatory research, hypothesis testing. So it's really about which research should make this formal knowledge claim. And there is a small decision tree now coming up here. So with the question, do I base an important decision on my results? And when this question is phrased and the answer is yes, then there is a recommendation. I review EQIPD and decide to what extent I can afford application of these enhanced rigor standards. And these standards will come on the next slide. If no, then the question comes up, can I accept failing because of not following maximal possible rigor standards? And if this failing is not possible, then again, it refers to these enhanced rigor standards. But if failing then is possible, okay, then it's exploratory research. Then it's kind of this conventional research. So what are these enhanced rigor standards? They are displayed in this table here on slide 21, which is about knowledge claiming research. So here we have different criteria that need to be fulfilled, and I don't want to go into all of them because it would exhaust this webinar. But then if it's about exploratory research, they are recommended. but not required. And then if it's about knowledge claiming research, then most of them are really required, or in these two cases here, blinding and randomization, that the exceptions need to be justified. So that's all to knowledge claiming research. And now my last slide. I briefly want to present this being rewarded and the EQIPD certification process, so that indeed it's possible, and that's what we also built the structure for with this non-profit organization, that there is a possibility for an EQIPD certificate. And this process to reach it is that there is this preparation phase where documents are submitted to this certifying organization. They will do the document review, and then there will be an assessment. This assessment in most cases will be online, and only in a few cases there will also be site visits. These site visits will be chosen on chance, but also if there are some red flags coming up in the document review. Then after the assessment, there is this post-processing phase, and then there can be the certificate issued. So currently there are 6 research units certified, 4 are displayed online, and currently there are several undergoing this process also in the context of the iRISE project. And with that, I move on. I stop sharing. Does it make sense?
You don't have to do anything, I think.
Okay, I don't have to do anything, and then I don't do anything.
If I do this, we go to the next slide, right? Is that moving for you as well?
Not for me.
Oh, that's strange.
But maybe I should click stop sharing. Okay, I try stop. I stop presenting. No, now it's,
yeah, that's it.
Now it's lost completely. Sorry.
No, that's fine. I will just open it from here. Let's see. Open the browser. Open the.
Well, I can also pull it up and then move the slides if.
It will take 2 seconds to load the PowerPoint, so
okay.
I'm almost there. Here we are. Then, oh, but I'm not allowed to share my screen. So could you make me a presenter?
Yes, now you should be able.
Thanks. Screen. Oh. Swap.
Exactly. So now I have it. I see it in presentation mode.
Yeah, but we're on the wrong slide. So I'm just going to quickly move.
Perfect.
And now you have normal mode.
Now I have your presenter mode.
Oh, yeah.
And now I see the entire screen. Yes, thank you.
Okay, great.
Nicolaus, are you on the slide on improving reproducibility in science, iRISE?
Yeah.
Perfect.
Excellent.
Okay.
Good. So yeah, I said just before we started that I would introduce myself maybe at this point where I start to present. So I'm happy to illustrate to you for the last bit of this session what iRISE is before we go into the general discussion. So iRISE is an EU-funded consortium called Improving Reproducibility in Science. We have 40 members that are spread around 15 academic partners in 9 countries. And actually also, of course, GoEQIPD is one of the partners, not really an academic, but an SME. And we've started our project in September of 2023, and we're still running until August 2026. We have like a €2.5 million budget, with which we work on the topic of the EU action, increasing the reproducibility of scientific results. And in the lower right-hand corner, you see me, Sarah McCann, and Emily Semna, with whom I co-lead this consortium. If you want to reach us specifically, please contact us at hello@irisproject.eu. But what is actually the connection between iRISE and EQIPD? So Brianna's mentioned it already a little bit. Why do we need iRISE, first of all? Then you will see already how EQIPD starts to fit in a bit. So our first goal is that we want to gain a richer and deeper understanding of what drives poor reproducibility, and also, of course, what drives good reproducibility. And then secondly, we wanted to base us in iRISE not only on existing evidence on this topic, but also to conduct our own primary research on the effectiveness of interventions to increase reproducibility. And the EQIPD Quality System is one of them. So we also have the founding sort of philosophy in iRISE that best practices like open science and measures to reduce bias, etc., are very interrelated with research culture. So the surroundings in which researchers try to use these practices, and it's related, of course, to the trustworthiness of results, and will in turn have an effect on research integrity. So we see this really as a network between these pillars. So that is why we have a lot of inputs sort of that we are generated in iRISE, for instance, the current state of the art in what we already know about reproducibility, a lot of systematic review work around the assessment of evidence for efficacy of interventions. We engage with stakeholders, and also we have primary trials where we try to add things to the existing evidence-based, and a systematic integration of the principles of equity, diversity, and inclusion into the concepts of reproducibility. And all these inputs are later going to lead to a toolbox, the iRISE toolbox, and a framework which will serve as a roadmap for the EU to put these initiatives further. So what are we doing in terms of intervention testing in iRISE? We've chosen all the way when we applied for the project, so that was already in 2023 beginning, I guess. We chose some high potential interventions that we knew of that were at different stages of the research process and target different stakeholders, and that were novel but expected to be very effective. And the EQIPD Quality System was one of them. So that was our product that we created in the previous EU consortium. And we are now going to test it to see how successful it is. So for the EQIPD Quality Systems, we have designed two studies that address whether they are influencing research practice and maybe even change the climate in which researchers work. So our hypotheses were that if you implement the EQIPD Quality System in a research unit, you will increase the use of best practices, for instance, make more fair data, implement measures to reduce bias, and do transparent reporting. But we also hypothesized that these effects are actually mediated through a change in the research climate in the unit. So that it's not just a checkbox exercise, but people really start to think differently about best practices and integrity. And that changes the whole climate in which they work. They have different conversations, they have different standards about what they want to achieve, etc. So to investigate these hypotheses, we have two studies. One is nearly completed, and we carried that out using or with the members of already certified research units. So where the EQIPD Quality System is already in place, we performed interviews and surveys with the researchers working there to ask them how they experienced the implementation of EQIPD and what, in their opinion, changed from before they had it implemented to after. So it's a retrospective study, and we have already nearly completed it. I was considering telling you some of the results, but I shouldn't because I might bias you. So we are going to publish them hopefully soon, and so that you could read about how these people experience the implementation of EQIPD. The second study is the study that is running still right now, and that we would be very happy if you, for instance, would join it with your research unit, or if you know someone that could join it, if you please connect us. So there our question is, in research units newly implementing the quality system, what happens? So do they experience changes in the research climate and the use of best practices? And we're comparing it to controls, the controls being sort of a baseline survey that we did among researchers in general. I will come back to that in a moment. So we also are very interested in the time and resources required. So we have asked the already certified units this retrospectively, but it's a bit of a less precise measurement. So we're going to try to assess it in more detail prospectively. And we're also very curious in the EDI dimensions of researchers engaging with the study. So what kind of people work in the labs that engage with this? Are they sort of the same cross-section of researchers in general, or do they have specific EDI traits? So this is a prospective study. And if you look at this diagram, you can see a bit more of the setup. So we have done a baseline survey among researchers in the field, just recruiting them through our networks and social media. And this is what we sort of use as our status quo. So how is it going right now? In most of these institutes, of course, standard practice will continue to be practiced, no matter what it was. But some of the institutes will now undergo equipped implementation and certification, and then we do a post-intervention survey with the people working there. So if that was, for instance, your institute, then you would fall here into the sort of the intervention group in blue, and you would receive the post-op survey, and we compare the results to the baseline with everyone in it. Yes. So that brings me back to this slide again. Yeah, it would be great if we can find still more people that are interested in getting equipped certification and joining the study. And the reason that we can also now offer the support and the certification costs for free is because we have the EU funding, and that hopefully helps a bit in case that resource was limiting people. So yeah, that's the end of what I wanted to say. Thanks a lot. You can always contact either me or the iRISE people through this information. And yeah, I hope to speak to you again soon. I will stop sharing my screen so that I can actually see you again.